Gravity used to be free. It was the one thing the universe gave you for nothing. But in the vertical nightmare of Olympus-Height, Grav-Corp found a way to put a meter on the fabric of space-time. They built the Singularity Spire, a gargantuan needle of dark matter and magnets that controls the localized mass of every square meter in the city. If you live in the cloud gardens, and your bank account is full, the gravity is a gentle, buoyant 0.5 gs. You walk like a god, your joints never ache, and you can practically fly. But down in the low-sump districts, the gravity toll is a crushing reality. When the corporation wants to squeeze the population for more credits, they simply increase the local pull. We lived our lives at a constant, grueling 2.5 gs. Our bones thickened, our hearts grew enlarged, and our spirits were literally pressed into the mud. To the board of directors, we were high-density assets. They believed that by controlling the weight of our bodies, they had eliminated the speed of our revolution. They assumed a man who can barely stand up would never think of climbing. They thought the toll was a physical barrier that couldn't be breached. They assumed that because we were pinned to the floor of the slums, we would never reach the heights of the executive suites. They believed that by turning the very ground against us, they had achieved the ultimate high ground. They were catastrophically wrong. They forgot that when you spend your whole life carrying a mountain, you become the mountain. They assumed we were weak. They forgot that a human being conditioned for high-G environments is a compressed spring waiting to explode. If Grav-Corp wanted to make us heavy, we decided to become an avalanche. We created the mass shift protocol. And we birthed the 4th Heavy Infantry. The weightlifters. We don't use light armor. We use lead sleds, massive hydraulic-assisted frames forged from depleted uranium and reinforced with magnetic anchors. Our suits are designed to function at up to 20 gs, places where a normal man would be turned into a puddle of biological soup. We don't carry rifles that fire bullets. We carry momentum drivers, cannons that fire dense slugs of tungsten accelerated by gravitational slingshots. We don't fight for territory, we fight for the stability core. We are the only warriors in the galaxy who see a 10G spike as a tactical advantage. We are the weightlifters and we're about to drop the hammer. I am Major Silas Heavy Vein. My exosuit is currently whining at a frequency that suggests the hydraulic seals are about to melt, and my internal HUD is showing a localized pull of 4.2 gs. My blood feels like liquid mercury, and every breath is a struggle against the weight of my own chest. I am standing in the ascension lift of the Grav Tower, and I'm about to settle the bill. The assault began with a thud that shook the entire city. We didn't sneak in, we used gravity bombs to collapse the floor of the main lobby, dropping our lead sleds directly into the heart of the security sector. As we landed, the Aero Knights, Grav-Corp's elite floating enforcers, descended from the balconies. They were graceful, wearing sleek white armor that allowed them to hover in a permanent state of 0G buoyancy. They looked like angels of the corporate age. We looked like the iron demons that had come to drag them down. Squad. Anchors down. Engage the crush zone. I roared into the haptic link. The Aero Knights opened fire with neutron needles, high-frequency lasers designed to pierce armor. But they were used to fighting in low gravity. They didn't understand the physics of the low ground. Sarah. Overload the local pulse. Sarah, my second-in-command, slammed her gravity maul into the deck. She didn't hit the enemies, she hit the floor's artificial gravity plating. She sent a command override that spiked the local pull to 15 gs in a 10-meter radius. The effect was horrific and instantaneous. The Aero Knights, who were floating gracefully a second ago, were suddenly hit by the hand of a god. They didn't fall, they were erased from the air. Their sleek armor crumpled like soda cans as they hit the floor. The sound of ceramic plates and human bones snapping under the sudden massive weight filled the lobby. They were pinned to the ground, unable to even lift their heads as the 15G field turned their own blood into a lethal weight. Pushed to the core. Jax, watch the ceiling. Jax, the heaviest of our squad, raised his shield pillar, a massive slab of reinforced steel. Above us, the Grav Tower's internal defenses activated. Weight beams lanced down trying to pin us in place. But we were built for this. We leaned into the pressure, our hydraulic pistons hissing as they fought back against the tower's energy. They're reversing the polarity. Hang on. Jax yelled. Suddenly the world turned upside down. The 15G crush vanished, replaced by a sudden violent 2G negative pull. We weren't being crushed, we were being thrown toward the ceiling. The Aero Knights who had survived the crush were suddenly launched upward like rockets. Magnetic locks. Now. I triggered my mag boots. My 10-ton suit slammed back into the floor, the magnets screaming as they fought the reverse gravity. Sarah and Jax did the same, our lead sleds anchoring us to the deck while the world around us fell apart. Debris, bodies, and corporate furniture flew toward the ceiling, shattering against the crystal chandeliers of the lobby. We marched forward, 3 iron titans in a world where up and down were no longer certainties. We reached the Singularity Stabilizer, the heart of Grav-Corp. It was a rotating sphere of dark energy, contained within a ring of glowing blue superconductors. This was the machine that decided who got to float and who had to crawl. Target the superconductors. We're ending the subscription. The guardian AI of the tower realized the threat. It didn't send soldiers, it manipulated the space around the core. It created gravity shears, invisible blades of warped spacetime that could slice through a ship's hull. I saw a shear hit a reinforced pillar next to me, cutting through the 3-meter-thick steel as if it were air. Sarah, the pile driver. Jax, cover the radiance. I charged the core. The gravity was shifting every microsecond. One step I weighed 100 tons, the next I was weightless. It was like walking through a hurricane of invisible hands. I reached the primary stabilizer ring and slammed my tungsten pile driver into the blue superconductor. For the low sump. The impact didn't just break the machine, it shattered the logic of the tower. I triggered the mass collapse charge. There was no explosion of fire. There was a snap. A massive wave of gravitational resonance rippled outward from the core. For a split second, the Singularity Spire went into a state of perfect zero. Across the entire city of Olympus-Height, the gravity equalized. The rich in their gardens fell to the floor, feeling the weight of their own luxury for the first time. The poor in the sumps felt the crushing weight lift from their chests, their hearts beating with a lightness they hadn't known in generations. The Singularity Stabilizer shattered. The dark energy dissipated into a harmless aurora of violet light that filled the sky over the city. The Grav Tower began to groan, its structural integrity failing as it was no longer supported by the artificial mass fields. We didn't stay to watch the collapse. We ignited our emergency high-G thrusters, launching our lead sleds through the viewport and into the open sky. I fell through the clouds, the wind whipping past my scorched helmet. I looked down at the city. It was no longer a vertical ladder of debt. It was just a city. The upward rain had stopped. The floating gardens were sinking to the ground, merging with the sumps below. The high ground was gone. Everyone was on the same level now. I hit the ground in the low sump with a thud that cracked the pavement. I pulled back the manual hatch, the air of the city hitting my face. It was heavy with the smell of smoke and rain, but it felt light. My joints didn't ache. My chest didn't burn. I stood up, not as a major but as a man. Sarah and Jax landed nearby, their suits steaming in the cold air. We looked up at the Grav Tower. The top half had vanished into the clouds, the lights of the corporation going dark. The gravity toll had been paid in full, and the receipt was written in the rubble of the spire. Sarah. Jax, how's the weight? I rasped, stretching my arms for the first time without the assistance of hydraulics. I'm here heavy. I feel like I could jump to the moon. Is this what it feels like to be free? Still standing. The core is null. Grav-Corp is bankrupt. We're finally on level ground, boss. I looked out at the horizon. The sun was rising over Olympus-Height, and for the first time in history, its light didn't have to fight its way through a gravitational lens. It was a new day and the world was exactly as heavy as it was supposed to be. We walked away from the tower, our boots leaving normal footprints in the mud. We didn't need the lead sleds anymore. We didn't need the anchors. We were the species that had learned to carry the world, and now that we had put it down, there was nothing that could stop us from walking wherever we chose. The toll is paid. The spire is broken. We are the masters of our own weight. The gravity toll has been abolished, and the social hierarchy of Olympus-Height has been flattened alongside its gravity fields. The world is finally balanced.